What's going on, guys? Styx here with the Token Minorities, bringing you week 11 of season 5 of the PPL Division 2, and this week we are up against Swanna, coached by the Jemmy Mac, and this is also the final week of the season, so trying to go out with a bang here. And before I get into the team, just a reminder that if you like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, helps us out a ton, and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And yeah, I mean, I guess if you're new to the channel, which is very unlikely at this point, but if you are still new, welcome. And there is a TTM Discord that we invite you to check out. The link will be in the description. We have channels for draft format, TCG, Smogon, really whatever type of Pokemon related content you want to talk about rather. We have a channel for that, so please check that in the description below. But anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and hop right on to the team. Like I said, we are up against Jemmy Mac and her Swanna, and she has a team of Excadrill, Megaladios, Florges, Slowking, Infernape, Tangrowth, Galvantula, Hippowdon, Stoutland, and Dusclops, with Infernape and Stoutland being the Z-Mons. And quite frankly, this is a very scary team. I mean, just has a really good amount of fat. I mean, you have the regen core of Slowking and Tangrowth. You have Hippowdon, which is, I mean, fat, just straight up. Like, it is fat incarnate almost. Just sits there, doesn't die, able to heal itself up and just be an overall nuisance to the team. You have two very scary Sand Sweepers in Excadrill and Stoutland, who can just outspeed and destroy me. You have Megaladios, which is undeniably one of the best megas in the entire format. And then you have things like Florges, Galvantula, and Dusclops, which really aren't huge threats in and of themselves, but if you just do not prepare for them at all, then you're kind of in a bad spot. So you at least need to have some sort of contingencies for them. And then of course Infernape is Infernape. I mean, Infernape is just terrifying. It's terrifying, and it is just terrifying. Like, Infernape can run so many different sets. It has such a good speed tier. It's something that I'm definitely going to have to really be worried about. And what's more, this team has two of the best Koko answers in the entire game in Hippowdon and Excadrill. I mean, those two, well, Hippowdon, Excadrill, and Tangrowth. Those things just are able to take hits from Koko for days. I mean, admittedly, certain sets of Koko can be tailored to take them on, with the exception of, I think Spadef Drill can beat almost any incarnation of Tapu Koko out there. So I mean, really just three of the best answers to Tapu Koko are on a single team. Zard doesn't even do that well, as Hippowdon is a very good answer to it, so is Slowking, but also Excadrill and Stoutland can outspeed my Zard if I manage to get up a Dragon Dance. And I mean, I'm only really going to get up one against this team. Like, at most I'll be able to get up a single Dragon Dance, and at that point Excadrill and Stoutland will still be able to outspeed me. So this is kind of one of those matchups where my two best Mons just really do not do a whole lot against him. Well, their generic sets really do not do a whole lot against this team. So I'm gonna have to try to get somewhat creative, and as you can see, Tapu Koko is where my creativity is quote-unquote starting. Like, Tapu Koko is where I'm going to, is a set that I'm very proud of, that I think can do work against this team, and is going to be something that I think can put me in the best position. So, like I said, my two best Mons for, like, breaking down a team, Koko and Zard, are not going to do a whole lot against him. Or against her, sorry. Just force of habit. However, Nidoking and Zangoose, two of my lower Mons, not lesser Mons, because those two are great. Nidoking and Zangoose, two of my lower tier Mons, actually have very good matchups, and if I can get them in on the right Mons, then I can easily just get kills. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to build the team to where I can easily get those two threats in on the Mons that I want them on, and just start collecting kills that way, and then still have plans for the other Mons on Gem's team, just so I can deal with them, but also get Nidoking and Zangoose in on the slow stuff, because they don't outspeed things like Megaladios, Excadrill, Galvantula, Infernape. Like, they just don't outspeed them, and I can't just bring them in and expect them to get a kill on those mons. However, if I manage to get them in on things like Tangrowth, Slowking, Florges, Hippowdon, that's where they can do work, and that's where they can just start collecting the KOs. So that's really what this team is going to be designed around. It's just getting momentum into the mons that can break down her team, and just trying to exploit the matchups as best as possible. So I'm just going to jump right on over to the team. The first thing we have is a Choice Band Tapu Koko with Brave Bird, U-Turn, Wild Charge, and Grass Knot. Looking at Gem's team, I knew from the beginning that I'm just going to be clicking U-Turn over and over and over against a squad. And also, once the ground types are gone, Choice Banded Wild Charge actually does a really good amount to the team, but that's something that might not, probably won't happen, but it's still just a nice thing to have in the back. But I knew that I'd be clicking U-Turn more often than not with my game plan of get up hazards and go into my breakers, be able to U-turn into my breakers on the slow fat stuff and exploit them. So that being said, I knew Tapu Koko would bait in the Hippowdon, bait in the Tangrowth, bait in the Excadrill. I'd be able to U-turn on those guys, get a good amount of damage off. I mean, not a lot, but a decent amount with a Choice Banded U-turn, and then bring in whatever mon I have that exploits those guys. And so that's really just the whole idea behind this Tapu Koko, is hit really hard with U-turn and be able to get momentum into the mons that I am going to be using to break the team. Brave Bird is for Tangrowth, just be able to take that thing out if it's at a decent amount of HP. I mean, if it's at like 70 something, I think is when I take it out. I don't remember the exact calc, but with, I think it's around 70%, and it's Assault Vest, just max HP Assault Vest, I am able to take it out with a Brave Bird from that range, and I think it might even be like max HP, a lot of defense, and still Assault Vest. That Brave Bird is still able to take it out. U-turn does a ton to a Mega Latios. To just an offensive Mega Latios, U-turn does a crap load. Like, it does upwards of 75 to 90% to an offensive Mega Latios. That is insane. That gets me momentum while getting a ton of damage off. Wild Charge, like I said, is just spammable. It's good for things like if he tries to bring, or she tries to bring, again, force a habit, a Calm Mind Florges or Slowking. Wild Charge is just able to delete those mons almost altogether. I think even a max defense Florges still goes down to a Wild Charge after rocks. And then Grass Knot, just because I didn't want to leave myself completely defenseless against Hippo, just be able to be like, okay, Hippo, you're at like 50%, you bring it in on my Tapu Koko, I'm not going to let you get up to full, I'm just going to go ahead and Grass Knot finish off. I doubt I'll be clicking it, as I know I'm going to be clicking U-turn more than anything. However, it's just one of those things that if Hippo's low, I want to be able to take it out, and they're really wow. I could have gone for Nature's Madness, but this move slot I knew I would be picking. I would not be clicking Grass Knot if Gem's team was still relatively healthy. I would only be clicking Grass Knot as a finishing move, so that's why Grass Knot is better in this instance than Nature's Madness would have been. The EVs is just enough speed for Latios, just be able to guaranteed outspeed that, as Gem's team is actually very slow. Apart from that, enough attack will just max out attack, and then HP and special attack and defense just to kind of maximize the EVs. I went for a Lonely Nature over an Adamant just because there is a pretty decent difference in the damage output to Hippowdon from Grass Knot from a Lonely versus Adamant, so that's why I decided to ultimately go with that. Next up, we do have the Skarmory, and this thing is a 100% counter to Excadrill. The only way Exca can beat my Skarmory is if Gem runs a reducing speed nature and is able to catch me on a roost. Otherwise, there is literally nothing legal that Excadrill can go for that would allow it to beat Skarmory. I will always beat Excadrill 1v1 with this Skarmory set, and if she runs a minus speed nature on Excadrill, well, that just means I don't have to worry about it in the sand at all. Just, I mean, you would not, I mean, I guess you could technically run it and then just kind of bank on me not having any Scarfers, which I don't, spoilers. But that, honestly, I don't see that happening. I think Skarmory will just be able to be a 100% answer to Excadrill all of the time, and just be able to get up rocks, defog, roost, and Brave Bird. I mean, that's very straightforward, but Skarmory gets up rocks, gets rid of my opponent's hazards. I couldn't not go I couldn't not run defog this week just because Sticky Web, while I don't think it's going to be brought, I'd be stupid to not prepare for it. Like, if I just did not bring defog, that would be one of the ways that I could just get destroyed if I did not prepare for it. So while I don't think it's being brought, again, you can't not prepare for Sticky Web if it's something that can be a potential bring from your opponent. And then Roost and Bravebird, just fairly standard. Bravebird, I decided to go for that over Toxic because this actually allows me to beat Excadrill 1v1 with the combination of Roost, even though I will literally just be chipping it down. The fact that I can Roost while Excadrill can't do crap to me just allows my Skarmory to take that thing on very easily. And then the defense, or the investment, is very, very standard, just speed creeping, things trying to speed creep Skarmory, and then max defense for maximum fatness from my Skarmory. Next up, we have a specially defensive Mew, which, I mean, this is just standard Stall Breaker Mew with Super Fang over Will-O-Wisp. I think this is Zazo Mew. I don't remember what the exact Zazo Mew set is, but I think it might be this. Or either that, it's either that or Will-O-Wisp over Knockoff, but I think this is just standard Zazo Mew Zazo Mew set with Soft Boiled, Taunt, Knockoff, and Super Fang. Just be able to wear stuff down, take hits, delay just delay any potential setup, prevent setup, and just wear things down to where they're in range of Nidoking and Zangoose. The speed is for Adamant Stoutland, be able to outspeed that. The defense is to be able to live a +2 Adamant Excadrill's Earthquake if he doesn't, or if she does not go for an, if she does not have a Life Orb, then I can live it for sure. And then just through the rest Inspidef, that way I can switch into like Draco from Mega Latios, just take that very easily. Well, not very easily, but just be able to take that and then just use Mew as a pivot more than anything. Just wear stuff down and just keep me from being swept by certain stuff. Next up, we have Nidoking, which I think is going to put in an insane amount of work in this game. With Toxic Spike, Earth Power, Ice Beam, and Sludge Wave, the first thing that I thought when I saw Gem's team was how weak it was to Toxic Spikes. I mean, Toxic Spikes just straight up go in and do a ton of work in breaking down the fat, but also Nidoking with simply just Dual Stab has insane coverage against the entirety of Gem's team. I mean, Dual Stab just does work. However, Ice Beam obviously allows for super effective hits on things like Hippowdon and Mega Latios, so yeah, I'm going to be running Ice Beam as well. But Toxic Spikes plus the combination of moves that Nidoking has just goes in against Gem's team. And so one of the goals, like I said, was just pivot into Nidoking, get it in on something fat, get up my T-Spikes, and then go to town with Nidoking later in the game. So that's partly with the strategy of this team. The speed is enough for Adamant Excadrill, just maxed out my special attack, and then threw some in HP, and then defense is just to maximize my EV. So fairly straightforward on Nidoking. However, I still think it's going to do an insane amount of work. And here we have my Z user in Z, Darkinium Z, Persian with Parting Shot, Foul Play, Toxic, and Taunt. I think I've run this exact same set 3 weeks in a row, except it was Rocky Helmet against Carson, not Darkinium Z. But, I mean, really, it's just the same thing that Persian does. Persian takes physical hits very well, gets momentum, enables setup with Parting Shot, keeps things from setting up on you with Foul Play, and then Taunt and Toxic just are good disruption moves, wear down stuff, prevent rocks or recovery on certain mons, and then just going from there. The one difference in this set is the EV investment. The speed is for Mega Latios, but I mean, like, that's just outspeeding 110s, which I've done for the past 3 weeks. But I decided to go full defense instead of HP, just because I'm going to want Persian to take hits from Stoutland and Excadrill. So maximizing defense just gives me, basically lets me take those hits just a little bit better, as I'm not wanting Persian to take any special hits, or I'm not worried about it taking any special hits. So that's what I'm going for with the reversal of the defense and the HP EVs from the previous weeks. And finally, for the first time this season, I am going to be bringing Zangoose, because look at look at her team. I'm sorry, Force of Habit. I'm trying to break that. But look at her team. Look at Facade. The only thing that takes Facade is Dusclops, and that thing just gets destroyed by Knockoff. So Zangoose is another one of those mons that I'm going to be U-turning into, or Parting Shot into, just to be able to do work, go for big hits, just take a lot of different things out and hopefully clean up the game with it. Facade, quick attack, knockoff, and close combat just has perfect coverage against team. Don't think I need Swords Dance just because I hit hard enough as is, and Zangoose is going to be more of a hit and run rather than a late game cleaner. And then the EVs, so the speed is for Adamant Excadrill, and I could definitely outspeed Jolly Excadrill, Jolly Stoutland. I could outspeed both of those with Zangoose, but I'm thinking, okay, Adamant's more likely as they're trying to exploit the sand. And also, I lose out on quite a bit of damage output if I go Jolly, so I just decided, you know what, I have enough for Excadrill and Stoutland if she decides to run Jolly on those guys, so I'm just going to go Adamant. I'm going to try to hit as hard as possible and just take out what I can when I can with Zangoose. So yeah, that's a team. It's fairly straightforward. I'm looking forward to see how this match goes, because I actually kind of like my plan of using the lesser mons or the lower tier mons to try to break. But yeah, that's a team. Let's go ahead and hop right on over to the battle. Alrighty, so here we are in the battle, and the first thing I am noticing is that there is no Infernape, so that is one gigantic threat that I do not have to worry about. And then also, to a lesser extent, that there's no Galvantula, but I mean, like, to be fair, I wasn't expecting Galvantula to be brought, but it was still just one thing. It's like, okay, don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about Sticky Web at all during this match. But I am seeing that she brought the Sandcore, the Megalodios, and even the Dusclops, which admittedly was something I hoped I wouldn't have to deal with, but I mean, it's here. Zangoose has knockoff for exactly that, so I'm gonna have to deal with it. But also Tapu Koko will just be able to U-turn through the team and put in an insane amount of work. So that being said, let's hop right into it. I am going to go ahead and lead with my Alolan Persian, as I figured, okay, against my team, you'll probably want to try to get up rocks immediately. I mean, that'd be a pretty safe thing to go for. So I figured that she would try to lead with her Hippowdon or Megalodios. I figured Hippowdon, but I mean, Persian also covers Megalodios, and I can always just taunt the Hippo, as the worst thing it can do is Earthquake, which is going to do a whole lot of nothing to me. And I can just taunt it and then Parting Shot out, get momentum, all that good stuff. But she does lead with the Stoutland, which is kind of interesting. I mean, again, Persian takes that on very nicely. So I am just going to immediately Parting Shot, expecting the switch out, as I didn't think she'd want to take a taunt or a toxic or a foul play. However, she does stay in, but again, Skarmory is able to easily come in, chew whatever hit. She goes for Play Rough, which is actually kind of interesting. And one thing I forgot to mention in the team builder is Skarm not only walls Excadrill, but it actually walls every form of Stoutland. Even Z Wild Charge Stoutland does not take on Skarmory. It cannot 2-hit KO me with Z Wild Charge into Wild Charge from full. So I mean, that's something that's actually really cool, and is another reason why Skarmory is going to be insanely important. But she does reveal the Play Rough. That is good to know for later in the game if I don't want Persian. That means that I can't just leave Persian in on the Stoutland knowing that I can take every hit, as Play Rough will actually do a decent amount. But now that my Skarmory is in, I'm just going to go straight for the Stealth Rock as she goes into Excadrill. And Excadrill, like I said, can't do anything to me, so I'm just going to start wearing that thing down with Brave Birds, as I can always just get my rocks back up and then just rinse repeat, as I will be gaining net HP. And she just decides to go back into Stoutland, drops the attack on my Skarmory. So this is not Sandrush Stoutland, which I thought, okay, that might actually be a mistake. Like I was thinking that maybe she intended it for it to be Sandrush, but instead was Intimidate. However, this Intimidate is actually being a little bit annoying, and it turns out she actually meant for Stoutland to be Intimidate. So yeah, Intimidate Stoutland was not something I was expecting, but is actually going to be kind of annoying for me, as I'm not wanting Skarm to take, like, just in case she wants to immediately go for like the Z Inferno Overdrive or the Z Wild Charge. I wasn't wanting Skarm to take that immediately, so I am just going to go into the Persian, try to scout out the rest of the Stoutland's moveset. I can always just Parting Shot into Skarmory, because while I can take the Z Wild Charge, like I said, if I don't need to, then I shouldn't, and I would much rather take a -1 than a full one. So I'm just going to go into Alolan Persian, know that I can take whatever hit. Goes for Fire Fang, that does a whole lot of nothing. I'm just going to Parting Shot out once again, go back into Skarmory, and this early game is really just going to be a lot of this rinse repeat. Just get Skarmory in, wear down the Stoutland and the Excadrill, because as soon as Excadrill's gone, my spikes and rocks are most likely here to stay, as I don't think Latios will have the defog. I mean, Florges could also have it as well, but I'm thinking that because she has Rapid Spin on Excadrill, she's not going to bother with removal anywhere else. So like I said, just going to go ahead and rinse repeat with my Skarmory, get up rocks, wear down the Excadrill, and now I'm going to go into Mew on the Hippo, knowing that Hippo is probably just going to set up its rocks. I can start wearing it down, as it's one of the things that I need worn down a little bit for Nidoking and Zangoose. So I'm just going to go into my Mew as she switches out into the Florges on my taunt. I just wanted to prevent Hippo from roaring or healing or toxicking, whatever it wanted to do there. But now that Florges is in, Florges is taunted, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to go into my Nidoking and get up my Toxic Spikes, as it forces in Excadrill, and Excadrill is already pretty low, so I will eventually be able to take that out. And I knew that I'd be able to take a Moonblast or a Psychic. Unfortunately, gets the special attack drop, so I can't just start wrecking things with Nidoking. However, at this point, I'm content with just having Nidoking in there, being able to go for Toxic Spikes, start pressuring her team a little bit more, and now that Stoutland is in, once again, I'm going to rinse repeat with Skarmory. As you can see, she predicts that very nicely, goes for Fire Fang, but that does nothing. That did 28%. And so with my Skarmory being able to chew those hits like crazy, I mean, admittedly, I'm risking a burn, but I'm just going to roost up, take this opportunity to get my Skarmory back up to full health. And now that it's almost back out there, I'm just going to go for the Brave Bird as she tries to get in on another roost. However, I was basically at full anyway, so I just went ahead and went for the Brave Bird, as I do get the roll that takes the Excadrill out. And this is amazing for me, because now my Toxic Spikes are seemingly here to stay. I mean, since, like I said, Excadrill had Spin, I'm not thinking that it had anything that could hit me I'm not thinking she had any removal otherwise, as I am going to go into my Mew on this Hippo once again. Just a nice pivot as she roars me into my Persian. Now, to prevent this Hippo from continually roaring, maybe even slacking off, I'm just going to go ahead and taunt that thing so that it is forced to go for Earthquake. And I'm going to Party Shot right here. I could go into Nidoking or Zangoose, as 100% Hippo's going to go for Earthquake, but I figure, okay, there's no reason to play that risky early. I have a Mew can taunt, Mew can Super Fang, knock off, wear down this Hippo. So now that my Mew is in against Hippo and Hippo is still taunted, I'm just going to soft boiled up, get back to full health, be able to take on whatever she wants to go into, as she does go into the Latios. And like, okay, Mew can take any hit. If she tries to set up on me, I have ways around that. So I'm just going to go for the Super Fang, as I'm faster. Now, Mew, as you guys saw, is fast, but it's not that fast. I mean, it's fairly fast, but it's not fast enough to where I would expect it to outspeed a Mega Latios. So, considering that it is outspeeding the Mega Latios, I know that this Mega Latios is super slow, but also that my Nidoking and Zangoose will be able to, or should be able to, outspeed it as well, which is fantastic for me, and is something that I'm definitely going to keep in mind later. And now, just to gauge what the investment is on Latios, I'm going to go for the knockoff. I knew that Roost was probably coming out, but I just wanted to see what type of Latios this was, and that is revealed to just be a very, very bulky Latios. So I'm going to go for the taunt, prevent another Roost, as Mew is, I mean, the Sandstorm is wearing down the Latios faster than it is my Mew, because I do have the leftovers. And now, not wanting to take another Shadow Ball, I'm just going to go into my Koko, force in another Grounded Mon, or force Hippo to take another big hit. So I'm just going to go into my Koko. I can KO this Latios with a U-turn, which is what I'm going to go for, as she does go into Dusclops, takes rocks, takes Toxic Spikes. I'm going to be able to hit that thing, U-turn on out, go into my Zangoose, and this is where I'm just deciding that Zangoose's time is now. Unless Dusclops is completely physically defensive, I will be able to one-hit KO it with a knockoff, as unfortunately it does not. And she goes for Haze. At first I was questioning it, but then it made sense. Dusclops can't do anything to Zangoose whatsoever that would be significantly impactful, so being able to prevent my setup is ultimately what Dusclops needed to go for. And while I am able to take that Dusclops out with my Zangoose, I do understand that play. And unfortunately, it is defensive, so Zangoose doesn't get the KO there. Nidoking does. And actually, I'm going to be right back because there is, yeah, I need to turn off the alarm. We have alarms going off that just sometimes randomly go off, so I will be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Sorry, sometimes if a bug flies into a first floor window, that will trigger the alarm. So, yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, we are back. Like I said, Zangoose is unfortunately not quite able to take out the Dusclops, but Dusclops still does go down nonetheless to the Toxic Spike. And now she goes into Hippowdon. I'm just going to go for a Facade. I'm going to get my other KO and Hippo, even if it was max physical defense, because I was adamant as opposed to jolly. I am able to take that thing out. So yeah, Zangoose just went ahead and, well, basically KO'd 2 Mons, as it looks like Zangoose might be able to just clean up the game from here, but Toxic is slowly wearing down on me, and she goes into Stoutland. The Intimidate's actually kind of annoying because I can't go for Quick Attack to take it out, and I figure, okay, the only way Stoutland can knock me out is if it is max speed and jolly, and I figure, okay, Stoutland is very unlikely to be max speed and jolly, but even then, I have ways of dealing with Stoutland, Latios, and Florges, so I'm like, you know what, I'm -1, but I'm just going to try to let Zangoose go all the way through in this game, just pick up the last 5 KOs, and see if Zangoose can take this game home, but unfortunately, Stoutland does reveal to be max speed jolly, goes for the breakneck blitz, KOs my Zangoose, and that made me kind of sad, because I mean, like I said, I could have preserved the 6-0, gone into Skarmory right there, which is a 100% answer to the Stoutland. However, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it with Zangoose, see if it can just clean up the game from there. And unfortunately, my Zangoose does go down. But what this allows me to do is go straight into my Alolan Persian, go for a foul play, pick up the KO on the Stoutland, and then I can just parting shot out on... I can KO the Latios, or I can parting shot out on the Florges, whatever she decides to go into. If she goes into the Florges, that gets poisoned, that takes rocks damage, so I'm just going to go ahead and parting shot out. She can go for the Calm Mind if she wants, but reducing the special attack is what matters, and with poison wearing her down, even if she is Calm Mind, which she reveals to be, Nidoking still hits hard enough to where I can break through that, and then poison will be wearing the Florges down to where it cannot just beat me 1v1. As she does switch into Latios. Now I get that play, because I hadn't revealed Sludge Wave yet, and if I didn't have it, the only way she could win at this point is to just bank on the fact that I don't have Sludge Wave, that I would have had to go for Earth Power at that point, and try to roost up and heal up with Mega Latios to potentially take on the rest of my team. So, I mean, I get that play. Like, you might be looking at it being like, well, she just wasted a +1 special defense. Yeah, but she still would have lost anyway if she stayed in with Florges. The only way that she could have won is if I did not have Sludge Wave, which I did end up having. So, I mean, if I had Sludge Wave, I won either way, but she had to bank off the fact that I didn't, and unfortunately, that's how the game will end, is I'm just able to Sludge Wave through the Latios and the Florges, but I do understand why she went for the play that she did. So we are able to take the final game of the Season 5-0. I believe that locks me into 3rd place in the CPCD League, as my differential is now, I think, +18, which, while there are other teams that will be 7-4, I think my differential will be high enough that I am guaranteed locked into that 3rd spot. So, able to come from bottom of the league to near the top with this team. I really enjoyed using it. I freaking love Tapu Koko. I love Zard. And if I can ever, somehow, through magic, get Tapu Koko Mew Zard again, I will die a happy man. But yeah, that is the game, guys. That is the season. Thank you so much, you all, for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.